let's talk about revision for a minute. Now, this question comes up a lot. People ask me, what is revision? Do I believe in it? Have I made it work? How does it work? Why does it work? Blah, blah, blah. The short answer is yes, I do believe in revision, and I have made it work for me multiple times over the years. But for those of you who have worked with me, you already know the answer I'm going to give here. I have no clue how or why it works, and it doesn't really matter. Now, my whole shtick here with this channel is I like to talk about my journey fucking around with this law, and I share what I've learned over the last 6.5 years of messing around with it. Now, my experience over that time does line up with a lot of what these famous teachers have said, but it doesn't always line up with what they said. And I don't really care, because if we're talking about a law, the only authority I recognize on this topic is testability and replicability. Unless a law has efficacy, it doesn't mean shit, and neither do your theories or speculation about it. I love Neville Goddard, I love Joseph Murphy and Emma Curtis Hopkins, and hell, I even go to a church inspired by the Science of Mind movement by Ernest Holmes. But at the end of the day, there is no authority over a law other than its own efficacy. So yes, revision works. I believe in it, and I can attest to the fact that it works, but I can't really tell you why. Now, what I will say is that in the times I have made it work for me, what I've noticed I'm doing is that I'm changing in the present how I subjectively relate to the past. And if I can change in the present how I'm subjectively relating to the past, it doesn't really matter whether or not I'm literally changing the past or jumping timelines or shifting realities or any of the other crazy woo-woo theories that there are about this. Because at the end of the day, the only reason you're trying to change the past in the first place is because of how you are feeling about it presently now. So if we can change how we presently now experience the past subjectively, it doesn't really matter whether or not you can have CERN in Switzerland build a wormhole for you so you can go into the past on this timeline and check. A mistake that I think a lot of people make with this stuff is they don't f around with it for long. What I mean by that is they discover this law, they understand it conceptually, they do mess around with it at first, and they get some cool successes under their belt, and then they decide to spearhead into all of the literature and online law of attraction coaches they can find. And they fill their heads with a bunch of speculation and theory and ideas that don't really mean shit. And then they hit a plateau where they're not really able to get results anymore, and that confuses and frustrates them because in their mind, they understand this even better, so why aren't they getting more results or more consistent results? Again, if you've worked with me, you already know what I'm going to say here. No amount of speculation and theory can compensate for consistent, diligent practice. So do yourself a favor. F around with this law. Seriously, unsubscribe to the millions of law of attraction manifesting mindset coaches that you're following, including myself, dude. If what I'm saying is not resonating with you, kick me to the curb. I won't be offended. I don't even know you exist. Again, my whole shtick here is just talking about my journey experimenting with this and what I've learned along the way. I'm not going to talk about things I don't know anything about, and I sure as don't know a whole lot about speculation and theory, because the only thing I care about is what I do that gives me more consistent results. There's no reason for you to give your time, energy, and especially your money to somebody just for them to professionally bullshit you. That's kinda dumb. So the best piece of advice I can give you on revision is, it works. You can make it work for you. It doesn't really matter if you understand why or how it works, because consider when you were a kid and you were learning arithmetic in school. You learned basic principles, addition, subtraction, multiplication, etc. But it's not until you're in college and you start taking advanced courses on this that you really understand the theory behind why it works. You're not in first grade taking number theory. It's just not necessary, because you can learn the fundamentals of a principle and how it operates without understanding all of the speculative theories behind what makes it tick. So again, do yourself a favor, fuck around with this thing playfully. Don't take it so seriously, don't let it define your life. Just mess around with it and find your own groove. And if you need a hand finding your own groove, reach out to me. In addition to my normal clientele, I do always take on a few pro bono clients at any given time, because that's my way of giving back to this community. For those of you new to my channel, I was a former fundamentalist, Pentecostal, hellfire and brimstone preacher. Then I had my own deconstruction in seminary that led me to New Thought, and here I am around with this law, seeing if I can figure out what makes it tick more reliably. Now, if you've got questions about this, or if you want me to talk about other topics related to this stuff, go ahead and drop a comment and let me know. I like making new videos talking about this stuff, and I'm not going to burden you with theory and speculation because, again, I don't really see the value in it. It can be fun if you're a masochist who likes to frustrate themselves into madness, but I'm not one of those people. At the end of the day, again, there is no authority on this law other than its own efficacy. And if what you're being taught by all of these other nuts on the internet is not testable or replicable, it's not worth your time, energy, or money. So do yourself a favor and value yourself and stop.